Gabby Thomas, before racing Julien Alfred in Monaco, said she wanted to see what they could bring out of each other. She got her answer. Alfred ran the third fastest 200 meters ever run. Now on July 18, they collide again in London, and this time, two British stars are crashing the party. Let's rewind to July 10, 2026, inside Stade Louis II in Monaco. Gabby Thomas, the reigning Olympic 200-meter champion from Paris 2024, was stepping back into a Diamond League final for the first time in 2 years, after an Achilles injury wiped out most of her previous season. Julien Alfred, the Olympic 100-meter champion from St. Lucia, was standing right next to her in the call room, unbeaten outdoors all season, and treating Monaco like the biggest test she'd faced since Paris. Before the gun even went off, Thomas was asked about facing Alfred again. Her answer sounded confident, almost casual. She called it a great field with amazing competitors, and said she was looking forward to seeing what they could bring out of each other. Alfred's response was just as calm. She simply said Gabby is a big competitor, and she was looking forward to having a race. Two champions, sizing each other up, neither one giving anything away. Neither of them knew what was actually coming. When the gun fired, Thomas and Alfred were locked together through the turn, stride for stride, exactly the kind of race everyone in Monaco showed up to see. World leader Adeja Hodge was right there too, refusing to be an afterthought in her own showcase race. But coming off the bend, Alfred found another gear that nobody had seen from her before. She exploded through the final 50 meters and pulled away by daylight, crossing the line in 21.51 seconds. That time didn't just win the race. It shattered her previous personal best by 0.2 of a second, set a new St. Lucia national record, and moved Alfred to third on the all-time list for the women's 200 meters. A list topped by Florence Griffith Joyner's 1988 mark and Elaine Thompson-Herah's 2021 run. Adeja Hodge crossed second in 21.76. Thomas, the very woman who beat Alfred to Olympic 200-meter gold back in Paris, had to settle for third in 21.84, a strong season best, but nowhere close to enough on this particular night. After the race, Alfred said she didn't even realize how fast she'd run until she looked up at the clock. She admitted she started screaming like she was back on the Olympic podium in Paris. That's the kind of reaction that tells you this wasn't just a good race. This was a warning shot, fired directly at every sprinter who thought they had this event figured out. Because Gabby Thomas is not someone who backs down after a loss like that. Just 5 weeks earlier, on June 6, 2026, Thomas had blitzed to a 21.70 at the Lone Star Grand Prix in College Station, Texas, a time faster than the one that won her Olympic gold in Paris, and just 1/10 of a second off the personal best of 21.60 she set back in 2023. At that point, she was the fastest woman in the world this season. She had also been racing through Africa earlier in the year, picking up wins in Nairobi and Addis Ababa, treating this entire comeback season as a joyful return to form after everything her body had put her through during that lost year with the Achilles injury. So when Alfred took her down in Monaco, it wasn't just a loss on a results sheet. It was a direct challenge to the idea that Thomas was truly back at her absolute best, right when she needed to prove it most. And Alfred isn't just riding a hot streak either. Remember, this is the same sprinter who won St. Lucia's first ever Olympic medal of any color when she took 100-meter gold in Paris. The same games where Thomas claimed 200-meter gold. That shared podium in 2024 is really where this entire rivalry was born. Alfred then had to withdraw from the 100-meter final at last year's World Championships in Tokyo through injury, and watched from the sidelines while Thomas stayed hurt for most of that same season. Both of them missed real chances to settle this rivalry when it mattered most. Monaco was the first genuine answer either of them had gotten in nearly 2 years, and Alfred walked away with it, running away with the loudest statement of the entire 2026 season so far. But this story does not end in Monaco. Just 8 days later, on Saturday, July 18, 2026, Thomas and Alfred step onto the track again at London Stadium for the Novuna London Athletics Meet, the 11th leg of the Monaco Diamond League season. And this time, the rematch isn't the only storyline in town. Alfred returns to London as the defending champion after winning last year's race there with a meet record of 21.71. Thomas has her own history at that exact stadium. She won the London 200 meters back in 2024, running 21.82, and has openly called London one of her favorite Diamond League meets on the entire calendar. But standing in both of their way this time are two of Britain's biggest sprint stars, Dina Asher-Smith and Amy Hunt. Asher-Smith isn't just a hometown name added to fill out the field. She's the British record holder in the 200 meters at 21.88, a former world champion over that exact distance from 2019, and one of the most decorated athletes in Diamond League history, with 17 career victories on this circuit alone. Amy Hunt, meanwhile, is coming off a breakout World Championship silver medal in Tokyo last year, and has already lowered her personal best to 22.08 this season. Add in Bahamian Olympic champion Shawnee Miller-Weibo and newly crowned British champion Success Edjuwan, and London suddenly has one of the deepest women's 200-meter fields anywhere in the world this year. That is exactly why this has become the strongest women's sprint rivalry angle heading into the back half of the season. It's no longer just Thomas chasing Alfred, or Alfred trying to hold off Thomas. It's four legitimate threats sharing one start line in front of a home crowd that has already watched Asher-Smith and Hunt run blistering times on that very track before. And this isn't happening in some quiet mid-season meet either. The Novuna London Athletics meet is bringing together a collective haul of 71 medals won at the Paris Olympics and last year's World Championships in Tokyo, all inside one stadium on one afternoon. Mondo Duplantis is chasing another pole vault record. Keely Hodgkinson is targeting an 800-meter world mark that has stood for 40 years. Emmanuel Wanyonyi arrives fresh off a world record of his own in Monaco. When a card this stacked still makes the women's 200 meters one of its headline races, that tells you everything about how much attention Thomas, Alfred, Asher-Smith, and Hunt are pulling right now. Thomas herself has talked about how much this race means to her preparation for September's Ultimate Championships, the brand new invitational event closing out the World Athletics season. She's already said training is going well and that she's looking forward to a great show at the Olympic Stadium. Alfred, fresh off the fastest 200 meters of her career, has every reason to believe her current form can carry straight through London and into that championship in September as well. So think about where this actually leaves us. Alfred is riding the third fastest 200 meters in history. Thomas is coming off her own world lead just weeks before that, plus a winning history on this exact London track. And now, two of Britain's fastest women ever are lining up right alongside them, on home soil with a roaring crowd behind them. But this race is harder to predict than it looks. Nobody on that start line is running scared. Asher-Smith has beaten fields like this before and owns the British record to prove it. Hunt is trending upward every single race, and she's got nothing to lose, chasing two Olympic champions in front of her own fans. Thomas has already shown this season that Monaco wasn't the real measure of her fitness, and Alfred just ran the third fastest time in the history of the event, with no signs of slowing down. This is not a race with an obvious favorite anymore. It's a genuine open field.